and it's under their gallery books division, and it's called You're Not Doing It Right. Tales of Marriage, Sex, Death, and Other Humiliations. And it says he's also the New York Times bestselling author of My Custom Made, which I have not read yet, but I'm definitely going to. Here's the little press release. Sarah Vowell and Ira Glass give good reviews. You're not doing it right. Michael Ian Black has been hearing these 5 words all his life. Now on the eve of his 40th birthday, he's finally beginning to wonder why. As a husband and father living in the suburbs, Michael asked the question so many of us ask ourselves at one point or another: how did I end up here? The answers to these questions and others that you probably would not have thought to ask are painstakingly detailed in Michael's debut memoir. Darkly humorous and told with raw honesty, he takes on childhood, marriage, children, and career with unexpected candor and deadpan wit. In case you don't know who Michael Ian Black is, he's been in a lot of stuff. Of course, State, a while back, Stella, Michael Have Issues, the VH1, I love the 80s, 90s, blah, blah, blah series. He directed Wedding Days, he wrote Run, Fat Boy Run. He's just all around awesome guy. The book comes out on February 28th, and the hardcover retails for $23.99, and it'll also be on Kindle, and I know that's cheaper, but I'm not sure the price. Whenever I asked for this book, I was very excited because I love Michael Ian Black. One time I actually wanted to go to one of the press things that he was doing, but it involved taking like 3 different buses and traveling, and that I'm terrible with directions. So even though I mulled it over for like 2 hours, I never ended up going, but that's just like how much I like him. Anyways, but then when I got the book and it said about marriage and everything, I was like, I don't know. Like, am I going to like this book? Because, like, I'm so not a marriage. I have no kids, no marriage, any of that stuff. Like, I'm not against marriage, but the whole suburb, do like everybody else, keep up with the Joneses thing is so unappealing to me. And I realized that even though I love autobiographies, usually they're about, like, really tormented, depressed people that I can understand. But I was like, well, it's got to be good because it's him. So, it is. Like, he ends up doing all that stuff and moving to the suburbs and everything, but he's like, he doesn't know why. So he's like the complete opposite of the type of person I am, the type of people who stumble into this lifestyle. So that's pretty interesting. He says, like, he didn't want to be, a cliche, but then one day he ends up a cliche of like the middle-aged guy with money who goes and buys like a fancy car that everybody else has. Like, it's totally different and pretty interesting. There's a lot of stuff. Let me just see so I can give you an idea. He talks about like when he first started dating girls and stuff, and how he didn't have any game, and then one time he tried to be like the jerk who doesn't call people back, and then he felt bad about it, and then he was in love with this girl who already had a boyfriend, but they ended up getting together. And his dad wasn't there for him, so then he wanted to be a good dad. He used to get called a fag all the time because he's in the performing arts, and I'm not in the performing arts, but I relate to that because people used to call me gay all the time. So it's like it shouldn't be a bad thing, but if where you're at it is, then you're. He talks about how he didn't drink, like he was just like never interested in it, and now as he got older, he started like having a drink here and there, and he's just like, I'm gonna do whatever the hell I want. Like, I need to do what benefits me, and also he's on antidepressants and sleeping pills, which most people were just like, they wouldn't like want to tell you that unless they were writing like an expose and they had taken a whole bunch of it and they were like, now I'm better. So it was like pretty interesting how he was like all honest and everything. There's a really, really sad, upsetting story in here. If you're like me, my dog died last fall, and I'll never be over it. And I had to have him put to sleep, and it was my decision. And there's a long, drawn-out story about how he had a dog like that. And like I thought about not giving it away, but it's so disturbing that I feel like maybe it's a warning, like if something like that just happened to you, because I was sobbing, and I never, like I'm a rare type of person to cry over movies or books or anything. So when I was like sitting in the bathtub reading it and sobbing, I was like, this is very like disturbing. Like, he's a good writer, but it's just like so upsetting. So maybe like you'd want to skip that if that just happened to you or something. But it was very good and totally understood. And then he talks about like silly stuff he does, like when you're looking at dumb stuff on the internet and you're like, is this embarrassing? And you tell people about it. A lot of memoirs about actors tell you about their acting process or what happened on a certain movie or TV show, and there aren't any stories like that in here. There's a story about how he was going to like an SNL party and people didn't know who he was, even though he was on the state. and a couple of other times when he tried to be like, I'm a TV star, like to get laid. But he doesn't really go into any of that stuff. I don't know if any of that's in his other book. That's possible. But like, I mean, I find that stuff interesting. But some people do not find it interesting, so I thought I'd let you know in case you're like, I don't want to read about that or whatever. That in the 70s, it bothered him because they tried to make it like you had to be the perfect guy, like you had to be masculine, but like not afraid to cry and stuff. And his mom was like a lesbian, so he felt like they were trying to make sure he wasn't going to be like the stereotypical jerky guy and everything. It's pretty interesting.